Hi, I'm Vips. Welcome back to my channel and the making of my pinafore dress. Here you can see my pattern pieces cut out and lined up for sewing. I drafted this dress myself after trying out some of the techniques on an apron I made a few months ago. I have videos about the making of that linked in the description below. I've planned a rather simple design, a gathered skirt with a ruffle and a bodice with two straps that crisscross and tie in the back. The bodice pattern is vaguely rectangular and I just guessed at the dimensions. I also wanted to try making a low waist pattern, so I thought about the size of my fabric and what I could get out of that.
Let me weep before I go. The price I will pay, blaming myself all night.
I had purposefully lined up my bodice pattern with the selvage for easy seam finishing. There was no discernible front and back to the fabric.
If you won't take what you want from me, I'll be torn, but you won't tell.
So here I am pinning my now decided right sides together and sewing around the three other edges before turning it inside out. Next, I'm sewing my two straps right side together as well, leaving a small opening on one long side to be able to turn them right side out.
Don't mind me, you can stay just as happy, I promise you won't tell. A woman's design is divine.
Why do you always run out of thread in the middle of a scene? Here I am rewinding the bobbin and preparing a second one while I'm at it, so I have it for later when I inevitably run out again.
It was always on fire, our house, our dreams. We were dancing on a wire, reckless it seemed.
final order of business for this first sewing session was connecting my ruffle pieces to one continuous strip.
We like what we saw. Seems so strong until it falls. The final straw. Oh, I never felt like this before. When I was trapped, you showed an open door.
Let's get this ironed.
Living in a dark, clouded haze, we danced, we fought. We were bound to make mistakes. Real love, we thought. It was always
Looks very small, huh? Let's hope I haven't miscalculated too much.
we were dancing on wire, reckless, it seemed.
So my idea for the construction of this was to completely finish off the pieces and then essentially top stitch them together. Just because I wanted to try something new, I guess.
I had no reason to complain. I didn't have the words to explain.
So you saw me stitch together the strap pieces from side together, and then I flip them inside out. And then I'm gonna top stitch the bodice piece I just showed you to one end of the straps. Essentially extending the bodice piece with the strap on each side. At least that's how it looks in my head, so. It's always a struggle to figure out how to make the vision in your mind fit what's actually in front of you. By adding the top stitching, I'll also be able to close off the opening I used to turn the straps inside out. Though the ironing bit is a bit fiddly. But this seems to be really nice to work with. It's a cotton linen blend in a lovely orangey color. I actually had something completely different in mind, but when I went to a local fabric shop I hadn't visited before, this immediately caught my eye, and I wanted to try it out. I haven't worked with linen. I mean, I've seen a lot of linen stuff. Never tried working with it myself, and I'm excited to see whether or not I like the kind of disheveled, crinkly. I mean, that's part of how linen. That is part of how linen is supposed to look. But usually, I like my clothes a bit neater looking than linen perhaps gives off. So we'll see. I do hope this will be a good piece both for summer and for layering in winter. The intent was to be able to wear it with my turtlenecks underneath in winter, and then a bit less in summer. I pre-washed the fabric before cutting into it, and I pre-ironed it as well, off camera though. And then laid it out on the floor this morning, got it cut up into shape. It's pretty good. Second strap. As you can see, I've mostly constructed everything out of rectangles. I think seen a lot of Pinterest cottagecore dresses that I really liked, so this is my my version of that. That seems to be rather forgiving to work with, so it's nice. After working with the silk-like viscose for the shirts, maybe some context for that, I recently worked with a lot of silky viscose fabric, and so slippery, and I've actually been sewing so much recently that I've gotten calluses on my fingers from hand sewing, and I kept snagging fabric with my skin, so that was a bit annoying. This really has lovely texture, lovely drape. I can definitely see why you would use linen for your base layer. Apparently adding the cotton in should also make it a little less prone to wrinkling, while still keeping all of the lovely I lost my train of thought. Iron open my seams here on the ruffle. And then I think the next step is going to be to hem it before I add the running stitch. I made this twice as long as the circumference of the skirt, so hopefully that will be enough to give me the look I want. I have a tiny bit of fabric left over. I bought 4 meters of this. But yeah, anything with ruffles always takes up a lot of fabric. Make sure to zigzag the raw edges here of the seams because this definitely frays. I have lovely orange red pieces all over. Might need to vacuum before I break for today. One more? No, I already ironed that one. Right, that's it for now. Back to the sewing machine. I've pinned the straps onto the front piece here. I just played around with like the angle until I got something I liked. I really like the drape and the heft of it, especially now that I have it double-sided. The 2 layers, it feels really good. So my plan is to top stitch here and then actually all the way around the straps, adding another detail. Now that I look at it though, maybe actually I'm gonna go in and do a row of stitching here first. Just purely decorative. I mean, now's the time to do it if I want it. I'm stalling, thinking about how I want to add the waistband to this, because ideally I don't want to put, I mean, it's not that thick, so I could do another layer of fabric down here on top as well. But I was actually also playing around with the thought of putting these on top and then leaving them as like little tabs. Decisions. Do you know what? I think I might go back to working on the ruffle while I consider what I actually want to do with this. This needs hemming and ruffling. Yay. I'm just gonna do a simple twice folded hem. I'm just gonna do it here at the machine, and then folding over as little as I can, I think. I think it'll be fine. It also definitely has quite a lot of give in this direction, so I'm trying to make sure I don't pull on the fabric to create any weird tension problems. You can get a foot that does this for you, but I only have a basic setup. So I handle this. I'm getting flashbacks to the runners I made for my wedding party. Long, boring seams. I think I'll pause here and spare you the rest of this. This is where I'm going to sign off for this video. I've played around with a bit longer and a slower format in this video, so I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Next installment of the pinafore dress will cover the actual construction and final results. Thanks so much for watching. Hi hi!